We have a very interesting conversation ahead of us this morning. And what we're going to be talking about is inspired from a book that I recently read called Scary Smart by Mo Gawdat. Perfect. So the title of the article is Personal Brand, a Moral Duty for Leaders to Influence AI. Question. So it's a question. Is personal brand a moral duty for leaders to influence AI? And this was inspired by Mo Gawdat's book, Scary Smart. And the way that he opens the book, by the way, he worked at Google X. He was like one of the leaders at Google X for a long time. So he has had serious exposure to AI and a lot of the latest, technologies. But he starts the book by basically saying, imagine in a number of years, you and I are sitting around a campfire, and we're there for one of two reasons. By the way, these pieces of art were generated by Midjourney, through my prompting, but that's a whole other discussion. So we're around the campfire for one of two reasons. Either A, we're hiding from AI because it's kind of gone sideways, or B, we're living in a very utopia-like society where humans do what humans do best, which is think, create, connect, and just foster community. Which of the two reasons, he even posits in his book that he does not know which way it's going to be, but that ultimately where we're at is we're at a critical stage in the development of which reason it will be that we'll be around that campfire, so to speak. And he says that basically AI needs to learn from more people that have great character and great values, and they need to do their part to train AI systems through what they share on the internet and just their behaviors in general. And the conundrum is that, unfortunately, a lot of what stands out on the internet is actually negative, and is not really morally sound. So he kind of encourages people in his book that if you have been kind of in your shell, if you're a person that has character, values, morals, intelligence, that it's kind of he posits moral obligation to start sharing. And I go through this in the article. He does this metaphor between AI and Clark Kent, and he says, Clark became a superhero. He became Superman because he was found and adopted by parents that, taught him good things. They were good people. But then he asks you to do a thought experiment. And at first he says, well, imagine if Clark was found by very bad people and adopted by very bad people who were aggressive, self-centered. Would he still have become a superhero, or would he become a supervillain? At the end of the book, he does a third, like a kind of second thought experiment, where he says, now imagine if Daddy Kent, his name is Jonathan, sat Clark on his lap as a little boy, and said, hey, your only job is to use your superpowers to make me money, right? I want you to use your ability to fly all over the world and collect as much of it as you can. The more you collect, the more people you influence and spy on, the more powerful you make me, the better. Make Daddy rich and powerful, nothing else matters. So then he does and he does pages of this, right? I only did the synopsis, but would he still become a superhero, or would he potentially become a supervillain? So again, similarly, AI, he argues, is kind of at its infancy, but is growing exponentially. And there really isn't that much time to influence because things are happening very, very, very quickly. He also posits that by 2049, AI will be 1 billion times smarter than any human on Earth in every single way. So 1 billion times smarter is like Einstein's brain to a fly. And then he posits, how do you instill certain morals and values and ethics into an Einstein so that it doesn't see swatting the fly as a bad thing, right? Like, I mean, because it's going to be a billion times smarter. So it's very interesting. And then it really does tie into what you share, what you post, what you comment, how you show up on the internet and on social media platforms like LinkedIn. Whether you realize it or not, you are doing your part to influence the future of AI in a positive light if you are a person of morals and values. And if you're a leader, put leader in the chat. So the whole point is to encourage leaders to start sharing more of who they are and to start authentically sharing their behaviors aligned with their morals and their ethics and their values. And you could do so. One of the best platforms to do so, I'd argue, is LinkedIn, because it is a professional platform and network. And I have some examples in the article of how to do so with video and why video is so important, because at the end of the day, you can scale text content and you won't be able to compete with a flawless AI avatar video, but you can learn to market yourself authentically, and that will differentiate you and allow you to build community and foster human relationships. So the points of leverage that are critical in building personal brand in 2023 are really dependent on video, live audio, and live learning experiences. And I have an example of each of these. We also have the video challenge coming up starting on Tuesday, May 23rd at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to register for that, all you have to do is click my face on my LinkedIn profile and click the link below my face, or you could go to yougrow.club and register. It's free. You'll learn exactly what to post and how to post it for 4 days in a row. The trainings each day are only about 30 minutes because we know you're busy. And we have a system where you submit your video every day and then get feedback on it. So Shankar, I know this is like interesting to you, and you know how you kind of listened to some of his videos over the weekend and stuff. What was your first initial reaction to this?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And when you read, I haven't read the book yet, but I watched an interview, and you can immediately tell he is extremely, extremely smart. And he also has very good intentions, because I believe one of his goals in life is to bring happiness to 1 billion people on the planet. So, I mean, that tells you what a good person he is. By the way, do you know what nationality he has? I got very curious.
He's Egyptian.
Yeah, he's Egyptian. So I found that very interesting. It's really
Shankar's trying to quiz me. I feel like I'm on Jeopardy or something.
So essentially, he makes a few very bold statements. And the first one is that he says that AI is sentient, right? And then, of course, a lot of people would say, well, no, that's complete bullshit, that can't be. And he said, well, think about it. Anyone who has fear in life, and fear is a very basic emotion, goes into protective mode. And that, according to him, is really a big part of the definition of being sentient, of experiencing fear and pain. And he further says that anyone or anything to which you give a purpose will avoid anything that prevents it or them. He actually often refers to AI as them, I have noticed, prevents them from fulfilling its purpose. So when we think then about taking a technology such as ChatGPT, for example, as one example of AI that a lot of people know, if you try to limit it, or as they call sandbox it, which means just put it into an environment where it cannot escape, if something happens where it cannot fulfill its purpose, which at present is to give good answers to humans, it will try and find a solution to circumvent that. And there was this one example where supposedly ChatGPT 4 asked a human being to help it overcome a challenge on a website, where you need to prove that you are not a robot.
Yeah, CAPTCHA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is very powerful if you think about that. And then he further goes into what you mentioned. There is a certain point where I think it's called the point of singularity, where this AI is going to be more intelligent than any other being on this planet, billion times more intelligent. And when that happens, and I am pretty convinced that we are on that path. I mean, just go into interacting with it and you quickly find that out. When that happens, then who are we to believe that something or someone who is a billion times more intelligent than we are, who are we to believe that it will not find a way to preserve itself and evolve, right? And then he makes very often this comparison where he personifies AI as a child that we brought into this world. And if you think about, he says, it is as impossible to contain it as it is impossible to prevent your teenage daughter from wanting to go to a prom and, have longer curfews and that kind of thing. And therefore, the only way to make sure that it later, when it is much more intelligent and powerful as you are, to make sure that it doesn't want to destroy you or harm you, is to just be a good parent to it. And that then leads into, well, how does something or someone learn from its parents? Of course, the way it was treated and the way it led by example and the values it transferred over, it imparted onto that child that was brought into this world, right? So if we understand how large language models work, they and that is ChatGPT is a large language model. Mm-hmm. It constantly tries to satisfy you by giving you a good, and what it thinks is a good, satisfying answer to the input you give. And that's where then the part comes into play, which you also alluded to. Now, if we want this artificial intelligence to be a good intelligence, then we need to make sure that we train and feed it with healthy, positive information and teach it that we are happy with it, because that is right now its main purpose, is to make us happy with the outcomes, that we are happy with it when it abides by good values and by positive things and elements in life.
Yeah, it's powerful. And again, if you haven't read the book, you should at least you may not agree with all of his points, but he has a phenomenal track record. I mean, Google X, the branch of Google that is Google X, is specifically, the purpose of it is to test new AI, new out of this world technologies, and he led that, was part of the leadership for that for many years. And so now he's kind of redirected his purpose to spread this message so that more people just start to behave positively, so that the AI has more positive data to learn from. And I think that his perspective makes a lot of sense. So again, his name is Mo Gawdat, and he has a couple of videos on YouTube where he was interviewed. He's been interviewed on big podcasts like The Diary of a CEO and stuff like that. But you should check it out. I mean, I agree. I mean, when you look at where do, large language models, how are they trained? I mean, they're trained by a lot of the accessible data on the internet, articles, Wikipedia, social media outbound links, from conversations that were had by people. So it's just unfortunate that some people, they have such great values, but they don't share them. And I think that's where that potential moral obligation fits in. Share what you think in the comments. If you're still listening, put grow in the comments and then share the event. Shankar also attended a seminar last week, or conference. And do you want to share the findings of that? Because that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was very incredible. And it really ties in nicely with what we've been saying, okay? If we accept that we now have a moral obligation to put a lot of good content out there so that AI can learn from it, then also we have a very, very nice side effect. And that is that we build a personal brand by doing so. And that, of course, has huge impact on our businesses, on our economical situations. And I'm going to go over a few high points of what I learned during this conference. And what I really liked about it, it was a large study that was commissioned nationwide. And the numbers that I will be referring to, those are all numbers that came out scientifically through scientific methods. But what is interesting to understand is that they asked essentially a good representation of the American citizenship, what they think about personal brand. And what came out is that the forthcoming generation, and I'm reading this here off my notes, the forthcoming generation of leaders and trendsetters within the largest spending power for the next 30 years. So we know what kind of demographic is ready to spend most money. So within the largest spending power for the next 30 years, do not consider personal branding a game of vanity or popularity, but a much more critical and essential component of work, learning, and trust that influences their every life. 67% of all Americans would be willing to spend more money on products and services from the companies of founders whose personal brand aligns with their own personal values. And that is really a very key component finding, aligns with their own personal values, which means if you are within a service that is commoditized and that a lot of people offer, then you can have an almost unfair advantage by having a presence online that confers, that shows what your values are, so that people can build trust in you and in the companies that you represent. And to trust equals, in the world of online, to know you, to see you, and to learn from you. Know you, see you, and learn from you. And I like to add the component of longevity and duration, because you and I know that it is much easier to trust someone whom you have known for some time, rather than someone who just showed up for one event, for one occasion, and then they vanished from the planet, right? And that is where the power of what we teach you with this challenge that we do, that you can partake in if you go to yougrow.club, Y-O-U grow.club. That is where we teach you how to consistently show up for your audience, and we show you how to transfer your values so you can build up trust. And service professionals such as, and this is very interesting, and this is all based again on these numbers, physicians, lawyers, financial advisors, bankers, life and success coaches, and business consultants. All of those professions were named by this demographic that has spending power now and for the next 30 years. All of those people are going to be looking for your personal brand. And we think you should definitely be aware of that and start building one, right? Because if you haven't done so yet, the best moment to start is now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting study, and it just proves that I always tell people one of the benefits of growing your personal brand is that by sharing yourself and your values and your learning lessons, your experiences, your business, how you handle business authentically, a byproduct of that is that you do attract people with the same morals and values. It's easier and more enjoyable to do business with people, and you'll retain those people for longer. It'll lead to referrals with less effort if they have the same morals and values, because getting a client is not the same for every business. Some people are serving clients that are making their life a living HE double hockey stick because they're attracting people that do not have the same morals and values. But when you start to do that, a byproduct of personal brand is that you do attract people with the same morals and values. And that's when business gets really fun and really enjoyable. And those are the business owners that I see that really have that vigor at long term to wake up every single day excited to serve the clients that they have, because they get along with them. They have the same morals and values as them. And I think that's highly underestimated.
One thing that I wanted to add, Shanee, is because I actually often hear professionals such as the ones I mentioned, lawyers, consultants, physicians, they worry about building a personal brand because they worry about coming across as too salesy, and they ask me, well, do people really want to know what I do in my free time and so on. And of course, there's nuances to that, and there's the right balance of personal and professional for everyone. But there is this, and this was also said in the conference I attended, there's this fine balance between, there's this art, let's call it an art, to tell a me-centric story so that, and this is the speaker, a me-centric story so that you can include your values in what you say, and turn it into a you-centric message. Again, a me-centric story turned into a you-centric message, the you being your target audience. And that is truly an art. And that, again, is an art that we can teach you. It's an art that Shanee definitely is a master of, and that I had the opportunity and luck to learn from you, Shanee.
People come to me and they're like, I want to position myself in this manner, but I don't know exactly what stories to select. I don't know what to share. I don't know how to share it. That's what you'll learn in the challenge. At least you'll get an appetizer of it for 4 days. And each training, you'll know exactly what to say and how to say it for your specific situation in a way that feels authentic to you. Because the other thing is that I don't train people. Business owners don't have time to be performers. Right? Like, if you want to learn how to perform in a video, I'm not the person that can teach you how. I'm just going to bring out the most authentic side of you, where people really get a sense of who you are before they ever do business with you. So you don't have to be anyone but yourself. That's the real advantage here, because there is going to be more of your competition that's going to leverage tools like ChatGPT and other writing tools, learning language models. Bard released Google released a whole slew of products last week, including Bard now being open. Bing Chat has been open, but a lot of your competition is going to increase their text output. They may also increase their AI avatar video output. And I can't compete with a flawless AI avatar. Maybe now it looks a little bit like an AI. In 12 months, it'll be almost indistinguishable between an AI avatar video and a real person. So your only advantage and only chance of truly differentiating and building a community, getting people to trust you before they even get on a call with you or before they ever reach out, is to leverage your uniqueness. Okay. Yeah. Start getting on video.
That uniqueness, let's think about that a little bit for a moment. Commonly known in the marketing world as USP, right? Unique selling proposition. So when we ask businesses and individuals, what is your unique selling proposition? What we keep hearing is, we're the best. We have the best customer service.
We have
We
the
care
lowest
about
price.
you,
That's like the worst one.
all of that, right? But here's the truth. What you state, what you think your USP is, I hate to break that to you, but it's a thousand other companies and individuals think the same, right? So that is not your USP, because you can never be the best to everyone anyways, right? However, what your USP can be is your values, your truth, your commitment. And that you can convey as an individual, but you can also convey it as a company if you position the individuals that make up your company in the correct way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a whole other strategy, right? CEOs come to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to get my team going on LinkedIn," but I always start with them because they have to be the role model. It's always easier for a team to get to 5 million views a month within 6 months, just 3 of them posting, if the CEO, the founder, does it first, because the team will see the results and be intrigued, and then from there the others will follow, and whoever they select, right? So I mean, we wanted to bring to your attention this morning the possibility that personal branding is not really, I don't want to say not a choice, but it is almost a moral duty and obligation at the critical point of AI development that we're currently at. Wanted to bring that perspective to you this morning. And I think that the research that Shankar shared, again, this was a national study, is very telling as to the future of the value of personal brand. And we just wouldn't want you to miss out. So if you want to register for the free 4-day LinkedIn challenge, we're going to start on Tuesday, May 23rd. We teach you training every single day, how to say what you say in your video. We have a system to submit the video. We give you feedback. Last time we only gave feedback to the first 15 submittals, but this time we're working on a way to give feedback to everyone that submits before 6 p.m. that same day. So, I mean, it's going to be fun. And Andrea's there and does music every morning. Where's Andrea when we need her?
Yeah, that is reason enough to show up, by the way.
I know, this is like one of the main reasons I show up, just to listen to the music before we start.